This idea of compiling high-profile cases in this book came about. How did this idea came about?
Okay, actually, the author and the writer and producer Amir Muhammad is a friend of mine, and he suggested, he had the idea that this is going to be the kind of book that will really sell well. He said, don't make it very in-depth, have these little vignettes of information, and then a lot of Malaysians are very interested in this topic. And so I set about it, and this was actually like 7-8 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
The idea was that long, huh?
Yes. And so I started compiling bits of information, talking to veteran journalists, lawyers, cops, history professors, and getting their input on all these cases.
How do you source for these information? I mean, was it tough? And I'm sure it's not just based on reading history books.
Certainly the first few mysteries in the book, we've gone and spoken to historical experts. One of the key people who helped me in this book is the late Professor Khoo Kay Kim. He gave me his insights into the background of these early cases. Another one is Professor Shamsul Amri Baharuddin. So between the two of them, they were able to give me the context of the historical cases.
How long did it take for you to complete this book? I mean, did you have a lot of help, or was it done mostly by yourself and Andrew Sagayam and also Amir Muhammad? What about that?
Okay, Amir was there at the initial stage. He gave me the idea, and then eventually he wasn't part of it.
Right.
Largely myself and Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew was a veteran crime reporter for many years. He's been on, for example, Bentong Kali, Mona Fendi, Kenny Ong, those kind of cases he was covering at some point. He might even be on the scene of the crime a short while after it has happened. So from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s, he was very close to these high-profile crime cases.
Right. These things, the names that you just mentioned just now, just reminds me of my schooling days, my college days. I remember these cases, reading it. They were big headlines.
Yes.
And when you say grip the nation, it did.
Yes.
Grip the nation.
That was definitely one of the criteria. Every one of the cases in this book, at the time it was happening, everybody was talking about it. It was full of speculation. You couldn't get away from it. Talk of two very different cases stand out. One is a case of child abuse. It's a baby who was found dying in a hospital toilet, and he'd been brutally beaten over a period of a couple of months, and they tried to save him, but they couldn't. And so that case, I was actually a teenager myself when the case broke, but I've never forgotten the images of the baby struggling for his life, and that is something that is very emotional to cover. When you actually realize that people out there are adults out there who are hurting small children to the point of death. And in fact, when I interviewed the late Kapal Singh about it, even he got very emotional. He told me it's one of the worst cases, and we both teared up a little. So that is a case that is always stuck in my mind. This is the case of baby Bala, who died in May 1990. So that is a case that can easily be forgotten because it happened behind closed doors, so we don't actually see it. Another case which is still really strong in my mind is, of course, MH370. It's like a national mystery. Everybody remembers it because it's going to be 6 years ago now, and it was one of it's a big news around the world at that time. And at first we thought we'd find a plane. A lot of people seem to have answers, and as time has gone on, it's just going down as one of the greatest mysteries of our time.
In the world, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
In the world. Then nobody can, I don't think anybody...
It seems almost amazing given our technology that such a large device could have, a device along with such a large vehicle could have disappeared. Yeah.